Hello there. Those over 50s who lose their jobs during the winding down of the government furlough scheme face the prospect of possibly never working again. Firstly, please subscribe and like this video to give my channel a boost. And I'm always uploading new content, so please do check back daily. Last week, the Bank of England said basically that hopes of a V-shaped recovery have dwindled away and that the road to recovery will be longer than hoped. We now face a 9.5% hit on the economy by the end of the year, the biggest decline in 100 years, as well as a spike in unemployment from 3.9% to 7.5%. But the Governor of the Bank of England, Andrew Bailey, also told the BBC that it was right for the furlough scheme to end as planned by the Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, in order to help workers to move forward, as he put it, and not keep them in unproductive jobs. He also said some jobs would become redundant. It's been a very successful scheme, but he's right to say we have to look forward now, he said. I don't think we should be locking the economy down in a state that it pre-existed in. But the overall Bank of England assessment is that employment will take a long time to recover. And the situation is not helped by forecasters talking about a 21% dip in GDP when the ONS figures come out this coming week. With The Guardian reporting, Britain's economy will be officially declared in recession this week for the first time since the 2008 financial crisis, as the coronavirus outbreak plunges the country into the deepest slump on record. Figures from the Office for National Statistics on Wednesday are expected to show gross domestic product, the broadest measure of economic prosperity, fell in the 3 months to June by 21%. And a new report out yesterday from the Centre for Ageing Better and the Learning and Work Institute says that 1 in 4 older workers, that's 2.5 million people, have been furloughed. But that hundreds of thousands of them will be unable to go back to their jobs come October when the furlough scheme ends. That's hundreds of thousands of angry voters with next to no safety net, who may feel underrepresented by all the politicians across the board due to their age. 1 in 10 older male workers and 1 in 6 female older workers were employed in the shut-down sectors hit hardest by the lockdown, it says. And they go on to say, older workers who lose their jobs are far more likely to slip into long-term worklessness. Over 50s who are unemployed are twice as likely to be out of work for 12 months or more as younger workers, and almost 50% more likely as workers aged 25 to 49. And an earlier report by the Centre for Ageing Better and Ipsos Mori reported that 1 in 5 of those aged 50 to 70 said their health had worsened since the lockdown, and that the lockdown has prompted worries about people's finances, with almost half of people in their 50s and 60s saying they expect their finances to worsen in the year ahead. Nearly 7 in 10, 68%, of those who are currently workless do not feel confident that they will be employed in the future. And Ben Page, Chief Executive of Ipsos Mori, said, there has been a great deal of coverage of the financial plight of young people and the much higher mortality rate among older people. This new study shows how the over 50s health, finances and employment prospects have suffered in lockdown. As in the aftermath of the 2008 crash, the risk we face is of older people seeing their prospects collapsing. Even before COVID-19, employment fell off a cliff after 55, despite rising longevity. It is vital the post-COVID world does not reverse the gains made for older people in the last decade. And this latest report out yesterday points out that the number of older workers on unemployment benefits has doubled as a result of the pandemic. And also, experts are also warning of a second wave of job losses for the over 50s as the Chancellor's furlough scheme comes to an end. But it further quantifies some of this, saying that the number of older workers on unemployment-related benefits has nearly doubled as a result of the pandemic, increasing from 304,000 in March to 588,000 in June. And it talks about a second wave of unemployment for older workers as the furlough scheme unwinds. The report finds that older workers who lose their jobs are far more likely to slip into long-term worklessness. Just 1 in 3, 35% over 55s who lose their job return to work quickly, compared to 2 in 3, 63% workers aged 25 to 34. Over 50s who are unemployed are twice as likely to have been out of work for over a year than those aged 18 to 24. Now, the Office for Budget Responsibility said back in July that 15% of all furloughed workers could be let go as the Chancellor's scheme winds up. That would be 1.4 million in all, and 375,000 of them will be over 50. But that's if it's evenly spread across all age ranges. Somehow I doubt that will be the case. And in the OBR worst case, it would be 20%. Of those 375,000 jobless over 50s, about 130,000 may quickly get a job, but about 245,000 could be left long-term jobless. And this relates to the employed furlough scheme. How about all those self-employed workers? And for these people, time is definitely against them. And some fear that employers' perceptions are also against them because of their age. Further, most government programmes to get people back to work or into work focus on young people. Anna Dixon, Chief Executive of the Centre for Ageing Better, said, "As this report shows, older workers have been hit hard by the crisis, and it's crucial that they are not forgotten in the recovery efforts. Without action, we could see many in their 50s and 60s falling out of the workforce years before their state pension age and struggling to get by until they're able to draw their pension. We know that a one-size-fits-all model doesn't work when it comes to helping over 50s back to work. Instead, we need to see targeted support and a strong message from government that these workers are just as entitled to support as younger age groups." While Stephen Evans, Chief Executive of the Learning and Work Institute, commented, "While there has been much attention on the risks of youth unemployment as a result of this crisis, the lack of focus on older workers risks becoming a simmering crisis. Over 50s face significant and distinctive challenges from this pandemic. Older workers who lose their jobs are less likely to return to work, and previous employment programmes worked less well for this group. We must ensure that nobody is left behind and that we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. It is crucial that employment and skill support works for older workers. Without this sort of attention, we risk having a lost generation of older, previously productive workers living in poverty and unable to maintain their homes and their families. And none of this will have been their fault. In short, you cannot take away people's hopes, dreams, aspirations, security and future just to replace it with universal credit and mounting desperation. And we all know that economic collapses are breeding grounds for some of the more unpleasant political movements and ideologies. And don't be too sure that should the Tories find themselves holding the sticky end of the electoral stick, that it would automatically be the Labour Party that ended up in government. We do, after all, live in very interesting times. Anyway, if you want to hear more from me, please don't forget to subscribe and also press that little bell, or you won't get any notifications. And if you want to see more of me, buy a mug with my mug on it. So what do you think about this unemployment for the over 50s? Please share and comment, and thank you for watching.